Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a super useful topic for anyone just starting out with English: how to talk about your daily routine. And trust me, getting this down is one of the best ways to start speaking confidently about your own life.
So, how do you actually describe your day in English? From the moment your alarm goes off to when you finally hit the pillow. It seems pretty simple, right? But learning to talk about these small, everyday actions is a fantastic way to build a solid vocabulary foundation, one you're going to use every single day.
Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to start at the very beginning, the morning. We'll cover everything that happens from the second you open your eyes to the moment you walk out the door.
So let's walk through a typical morning. It all kicks off when you wake up. Then, you've got to actually get out of bed. After that, for most of us, it's off to the bathroom to brush your teeth and wash your face. Next up, breakfast. You can make breakfast if you're cooking, or just have breakfast if you're eating. Once you've got some energy, you get dressed, and finally, you leave the house to get your day started. Now, what's so cool is that we can use these same basic verbs to talk about totally different routines. Take Anna, for example. She wakes up at 7 and has coffee and toast. But David here, he's an early bird. He wakes up at 6:30 and prefers tea and cereal. See how we're using words like wakes up and eats? That's because routines are things we do regularly. The basic actions are the same, but the details make it all about you. All right, let's put a quick spotlight on this phrase, get dressed. It's a really simple, super common way to say you put on your clothes for the day. You'll hear this one all the time. Okay, morning's done. So, what's next? Let's move into the main part of the day and see how this all builds. Talking about your workday, it doesn't matter if you're in an office or working from home, there's a whole set of words for it. For a lot of us, a typical day at the office looks something like this. You sit at your desk and you work on your computer. A huge part of that is usually answering emails or maybe writing reports. And of course, meetings. We use the phrase have meetings when we talk about getting together with our coworkers. But hey, what if you work from home? Well, the tasks might look a little different. You might write articles, or if you're a teacher, you probably prepare lessons. And instead of those in-person meetings, you'll most likely have online meetings. See, the vocabulary just adapts to whatever you're doing. Now, no matter where you work, everybody's got to eat. Around noon, it's time to have lunch. Maybe you brought some food from home, or maybe you decide you want to go out to eat. And that brings us to this really useful phrase, go out to eat. It's simple. It just means you're having your meal at a cafe or a restaurant instead of eating at home. It's a super common expression, especially if you're grabbing a bite with friends or colleagues. All right, the workday is officially over. Whew, now it's time to talk about winding down. This part covers everything from the second you get back home to the moment you finally go to bed. So, the evening has its own little rhythm, doesn't it? First, you go home. Then it's time to unwind. Maybe you relax on the sofa or you watch TV. After a bit, it's probably time to cook dinner, which, of course, means you'll have to wash the dishes later. The worst part, I know. Before bed, you might do something quiet, and then finally, it's time to go to bed. So what does relaxing actually look like for most people? Well, you could read a book, talk to your family or friends, maybe go for a walk to get some fresh air, or just put on some headphones and listen to music. These are all perfect ways to talk about your downtime. And here we are at the very, very end of the day.
The last two things to do are usually to brush your teeth one last time and then, finally, go to bed. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground. Now it's your turn. We've gone over so many great phrases, so let's do a quick recap of the most important verbs. That way you can start describing your own day.
Okay, for the morning, here are your go-to verbs. Wake up, get out of bed, brush teeth, wash face, make or have breakfast, get dressed, leave the house, and go to work. Just with those, you can pretty much describe your whole morning. Then for the work day, you've got these building blocks. Sit at my desk, work on my computer, answer emails, write reports, have meetings, and of course, have lunch. Super useful for talking about your job.
And to wrap it all up, for the evening, remember these. Go home, relax, watch TV, cook dinner, wash the dishes, read a book, go for a walk, listen to music, and the big one, go to bed. And just like that, you've got the vocabulary to talk about your entire day, from start to finish. Before we finish up, I really want you to take this to heart. Learning any new language is a journey, not a race. So be patient with yourself, try to practice just a little bit every day, and make sure you celebrate the small wins along the way. So, I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. Think about everything we just covered in this explainer. What is one new word or phrase that you're going to try to use tomorrow when you think about your own day? Because that's how you really make it stick.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a slightly different approach. We're zeroing in on something really fundamental. The words you need, the basic toolkit to talk about your day.
Right, your daily routine, from the moment you wake up.
Exactly, to when you go to sleep. We've looked at some really structured language material for this.
Yeah, designed for learners. And our mission really is to pull out the absolute core verbs.
The essential linguistic DNA, you could say.
I like that. And it's not just a list. For you, the listener, the learner, it's about getting the sequence right.
Building that functional framework.
Precisely, so you can use it immediately. It's kind of a shortcut to feeling more confident conversationally.
Okay. Avoiding that feeling of being overwhelmed by too much vocabulary all at once.
That's the plan. We're analyzing how these words fit together, why they work.
Okay, so let's dive in, starting obviously at the beginning, the morning.
The morning framework.
And the key here seems to be getting those first actions in order right after you wake up, those physical transitions.
Yeah, and it starts, naturally, with wake up.
Wake up. Simple enough.
Well, yes, but notice it's a phrasal verb, an inseparable one.
Ah, okay, so you can't wake the bed up or something.
Exactly. You wake up, or maybe an alarm clock wakes you up. It's fundamental.
Got it. And the source material even mentioned specific times, didn't it? Like 7:00 a.m.?
Right, versus maybe an early bird at 6:30.
And that little difference, that half hour, that's a perfect example for you, the listener, to start adding your own details straight away.
It personalizes it immediately.
Okay,
So you've woken up. What's next? You have to actually move.
Physical commitment.
You need to get out of bed.
Get out of bed. Another key phrase.
Think of it as the day's first big action verb. And again, notice the prepositions out of. It gives direction.
Which is really important for descriptive language, yeah.
Definitely. So you're out of bed. Usually the next stop is the bathroom.
Right. The bathroom routine and two core actions here. Brush my teeth.
Universal.
And wash my face.
Yep. Simple actions. But they're always there, aren't they? Part of that morning sequence. Non-negotiable for most people.
True. Okay, so teeth brushed, face washed. Where next?
Well, we're sort of moving from just actions to actions in a place. The next location is often the kitchen.
Ah, okay. You don't just suddenly have food.
Right. First, you have to go to the kitchen.
Go to the kitchen. Makes sense.
And then two really crucial linked actions. Make breakfast.
The preparation part.
And have breakfast.
The eating part. The consumption. I like that distinction. Make and have.
It's useful. And the sources gave some nice concrete examples, too.
Yeah, like drinking tea and eating cereal.
Or maybe coffee and toast.
Right. Or, fruit, an apple, or a banana was mentioned.
Exactly. And using those specific nouns, tea, cereal, toast, apple, helps you practice adding more vocabulary around the core verbs.
Good point. So you've had your fuel. What's next in the sequence? Preparing for the day.
Yep. You get dressed.
Get dressed. Which is basically shorthand for put on your clothes.
It is. And if you're heading out...
Right? Not everyone does these days.
True. But if you are leaving the house, there are 2 more bits. Put on shoes.
Okay.
And put on your coat or jacket.
And put on, that's a separable phrasal verb, isn't it?
It is. Good catch. You can put on your coat or put your coat on.
That little bit of flexibility is quite helpful for a learner to see.
Definitely. Okay, so you're dressed, shoes on, coat on maybe. The final step in this whole morning block.
The exit.
You leave the house, and usually you go to work.
Right. Which could mean actually traveling somewhere, like an office.
Or just starting your workday at home. That phrase kind of covers both now.
So that whole flow, wake up, get out, bathroom, kitchen, get dressed, leave, that gives you a really solid, maybe 7 or 8 step narrative already.
Absolutely. A complete morning story.
Okay, so that brings us to the middle of the day, the workday itself.
Midday and work activities. And the vocabulary shifts here, doesn't it?
Yeah, less about physical transitions, more about specific job tasks.
Right. So if you're in an actual office, there's a lot of location-based language. Prepositions are key.
Like?
You sit at my desk.
At your desk.
And you work on my computer.
On your computer.
Yeah.
Different prepositions for desk and computer. That's a small detail.
But important, those little words make a big difference in sounding natural.
Okay, so you're at your desk, on your computer. What are you actually doing?
Well, the core tasks mentioned were answer emails and write reports.
Right. So sitting, working, answering, writing, that pretty much covers a lot of standard office work.
It's the engine room, like you said, but there's also collaboration.
Meetings.
You have meetings.
And it's usually have meetings, not do meetings.
Generally, yeah. Have meetings is the standard phrase. It just means, getting together physically or virtually to talk about work stuff.
And speaking of virtual, the sources mentioned remote work variations too.
They did. Because it's so common. So instead of just write reports, maybe it's more specific.
Like write articles.
Or prepare lessons, perhaps.
Okay. And the meetings become online meetings.
Exactly. It's good to have both sets of vocabulary in your toolkit, Covers all bases for modern work life.
Definitely. Okay, so working hard, emails, reports, meetings. Eventually, you need a break.
Lunchtime. The key phrase here is have lunch.
Have lunch. Similar to have breakfast.
Yep. And again, simple food examples were given a sandwich or a salad.
Easy starting points. But the logistics part was interesting too.
How you get the lunch.
Right. You might bring lunch from home using the verb bring.
Or, and this is a great functional phrase, you might go out to eat.
Go out to eat. Yeah, that sounds much more natural than just saying go to a restaurant for lunch.
It's what people actually say. Very useful phrase.
Okay, lunch is done. What then?
Simple transition back. You go back to work.
Go back to work. Nice and clear.
And you carry on until, the afternoon or evening starts to roll around. That go back phrase just reinforces the daily rhythm.
It does. Okay, which neatly leads us into the evening section. Shifting gears again.
From work mode back to home life. You finish your work tasks, and the first main action is usually...
You go home.
Go home. Simple, direct.
And once you're there, what's the typical pattern? Decompression?
Seems like it. The sources suggest maybe first you relax on the sofa.
Okay, sounds good.
And maybe follow that up pretty quickly with watch TV.
Right, the classic wind-down combo. These are definitely relaxation verbs, the opposite of the work ones.
A real contrast. But relaxation doesn't last forever. There's usually another meal involved.
Dinner, so you need to cook dinner.
Cook dinner. And again, the examples showed flexibility.
Yeah, making pasta was mentioned, which can be involved.
Or just preparing a simple soup, which is quicker, so cook covers a range.
Got it. Dinner's cooked, dinner's eaten, then comes the chore.
Ah, yes. The one everyone loves to hate. You have to wash the dishes.
Wash the dishes. It's essential, isn't it? So essential, the source even noted it's not popular.
Which is funny, but also a good point. This is where you, the learner, could start adding feelings.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, you don't just wash the dishes. Maybe you reluctantly wash the dishes. Or quickly wash the dishes.
Adding adverbs to describe how you do the action, that's a great next step. Using a chore as a way to practice expressing feelings.
Exactly. High value takeaway, as you said. Okay, dishes done. Now for maybe some actual leisure time.
Yes. What did the sources list here?
Quite a few things.
There was read a book,
Okay.
talk to family or friends,
Mm.
on the phone or in person, presumably.
Right. Or for something more active, go for a walk.
Maybe for exercise or just fresh air.
And listen to music.
Yes, but notice the detail there. It wasn't just listen to music. In the evening context, it was specifically something relaxing.
That's a nice touch. It tells you the purpose of the listening, adds depth.
That kind of detail is what makes it a real deep dive, not just a word list. It gives you context.
Absolutely. Okay, so leisure time winds down. We're heading towards the end of the day, and there's a repeat action here.
Yes, looping back to hygiene.
Yeah.
You brush my teeth again. Brush my teeth. Second time. Reinforces that some actions happen more than once. Repetition is part of the routine.
Crucial part of the structure. And then the final action of the day.
You go to bed.
Go to bed. And again, helpful examples of typical times were given.
Right, like 10.30, 11 or maybe 11.30.
Gives you a realistic range. And that completes the journey, linguistically speaking, from waking up right through to going to bed.
Wow. Okay, so if we tally that up, that's what, nearly 40 specific verbs and phrases we've covered?
Something like that.
Everything from the mechanics of waking up and getting out of bed through work like writing reports, relaxing like watching TV, right up to going to bed.
That whole list, that sequence, that's really your foundation for talking about your life in English.
So now the crucial bit, how does the listener, you, actually use this? How do you make it stick? Application.
Right. Knowledge is one thing, skill is another. So first, and this is probably the most important piece of advice,
Yes.
use these verbs to talk about your own day.
Not just the examples we gave. Make it personal.
Exactly. Personalization makes it memorable. Describe your breakfast, your work tasks, your evening.
Okay, step 1, personalize. What's step 2?
Step 2 is vital and maybe a bit uncomfortable at first. Practice speaking out loud.
Actually saying the words.
Yes. Literally narrate your actions as you do them. I am getting out of bed. I am making coffee.
Even just simple sentences like, I wake up, I brush my teeth.
Perfect. That constant verbal repetition cements the words and, crucially, the sequence in your mind.
Okay, personalize, speak aloud. Anything else?
Third thing, the physical act of writing helps. Write your routine down.
Like in a notebook.
Yeah, maybe list the verbs in order. Or write a short paragraph describing your typical day using this vocabulary. Combining speaking and writing is powerful.
Locks it in from different angles.
It does. It helps consolidate both the words themselves and that all-important structure.
This whole framework, it feels really powerful because the daily routine is so universal, isn't it?
Absolutely. Everyone eats, most people work or study, everyone sleeps.
So by getting a handle on these core verbs, you've basically unlocked a way to talk about a huge chunk of everyday life. Functional conversation.
That's the goal. And you know, it raises an interesting question for you, the listener, to think about next.
Oh, a provocative thought.
Maybe, since you now have the tools to describe what you do.
The basic actions.
Right. Think about the subtleties in your routine. Could you start trying to express those?
What kind of subtleties?
Well, we mentioned adding adverbs like how you wash the dishes. But what about why? Or what you're thinking about?
Okay. So beyond just saying, I read a book.
Maybe you could try to express why you chose the book over, say, watching TV. Was it to learn something, to escape?
Or explaining the feeling you have when you relax on the sofa after work.
Relief?
Tiredness.
Precisely. This basic framework we've outlined today, wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, relax, go to bed, it's the platform.
The foundation.
Exactly. It's the foundation you can build on to express more complex ideas, feelings, motivations. Start with these core verbs, practice them.
Get them locked down.
And you're genuinely on your way to mastering functional, real-world conversation.
That's a fantastic way to frame it. And a great challenge for you, our listener. Start with the basics, then build out the nuance.
Keep practicing that routine.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the language of the everyday.
See you next time.